Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2015 action-adventure thriller film Furious 7, directed by James Wan. So, as you see, I have some glimmer on my face. I tried so hard not to cry during this movie, but I can't help it. This film, I haven't seen it in years because when Paul Walker died, it was very hard. I cried more for Paul's death than I did for majority of my relatives that have passed. He was so philanthropic. He was just that older, cousin figure that we all had that taught us to be good and how to smile and have fun at the same time, and like he was just so pure, and his passing just wrecked so many of us. And then to have Charlie Puth and Wiz Khalifa come out with "See You Again," like the main staple of saying goodbye to Paul's character in this film, he passed in 2013. This song came out in 2015, and I remember in December 2013, like a lot of I'm coming home montages were hitting YouTube with like his scenes throughout the 6 films. And it was only a few months before his passing, November 2013. May 2013 is when Furious 6 came out. So like it was rough. It was so hard for so many of us, fans of him, fans of the franchise. And I'll never forget, I was coming home from work one day. I was working at one of the hospitals, and I was blasting the soundtrack to Furious 7 in my car, and I took a different way home, like through a town. I had the windows down, and I was blasting "See You Again," and I'm getting emotional. It's what you do, And this guy. So if I was driving west, this guy was driving east, but we were all like crawling because it was like bumper to bumper, and there were lights everywhere. So he's also blasting "See You Again," not at the same time, obviously, because it was different. I was using a CD. He could have been using the radio. He could have been using an MP3. Who knows? And we both like looked at each other and went, and kept going. Like it was just, and this was like a burly macho man, blaring "See You Again," and like in like a nice car. And it was just a moment I will never forget, doing the head nod to this random guy as we're both about to cry listening to a song 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday in the middle of a town. It just shows the power and gravitas that Paul had on so many people who never even met him. It's like we've grown up with him, obviously, on the screen, and I've been a fan of his since Pleasantville. When was that? 96? I was young when I first was introduced to him. Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon were in that. So like I knew when I've been dreading doing the Fast and Furious reviews because of this film, because I knew it would hurt. It would hurt. I mean, I have my lovely skyline tattoo. I even wrote 1327 in a Sharpie just because that's the Toretto family home. But I didn't want to cry, but I did, and that's life. And because I knew I was going to be a wreck, I had to write notes as I went along, because I knew my mind would be mush by the time I was ready to talk after the movie ended. So we're just gonna read my notes in regards to plot points, and then we'll see what else I discuss. Okay, so the filming locations where the movie is set at: London, Los Angeles, Monte Cristo, Dominican Republic. We go there a few times. Tokyo, and Abu Dhabi, the United Emirates of Arabia, something like that. Okay, so Deckard, I'm going to read exactly what I wrote. because I don't want to paraphrase, I don't want to ramble, and I'm rambling already. Deckard Shaw, we know, is the brother of Owen Shaw. Luke Evans is Owen Shaw. We last see him fly out of an airplane. Deckard Shaw is Jason Statham. We see him at the mid-credit scene of Fast and Furious 6, after he hits Han's car in Tokyo. Han's car explodes after Deckard throws Dom's necklace down after he gets it from Owen. And we see him take it from Owen in the hospital. So we know that the first quarter of this film of Furious 7 takes place before the ending of Tokyo Drift. So there's a bit of an overlap, and then we go into Han's funeral when we all get back to Los Angeles. Okay, Deckard takes the cross from Owen, and he's in a coma in London. So Owen is burned, but he's in a coma in London. Deckard breaks into this hospital, guns a-blazing, grenades going off, takes the cross from Owen, says, you're my little brother, you've always caused mischief, I've always had to clean up your messes, and here's one last mess I gotta clean up. Okay. Dom and Letty go to Race Wars in Los Angeles. Elena and Hobbs are working in Los Angeles, where Deckard Shaw fights Hobbs. Deckard is in Los Angeles, the DSS office, to obtain the information in regards to what team took down his younger brother, so he can act his revenge. Okay. He fights Hobbs. Hobbs and Elena get thrown out a window via an explosion. Deckard gets away. Hobbs winds up in the hospital, where he then talks to Dom. Deck sends Dom a bomb from Tokyo, which explodes after Han's car blows up. Now we have Mia, we have Brian, we have Dom all at 1327 in Los Angeles, and they're putting Jack in his car seat. Jack's like, I don't know, toddlerish. Yeah. And then the bomb goes off, but Jack's already in his car seats, and then Brian and Mia run over. But Mia's also pregnant again with the baby girl, so it was another concern. All right, so we get that explosion, and now we're caught up. So now we know 4, 5, and 6 is before Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift takes place about a quarter of the way through Furious 7. Okay. Hobbs teams up with Dom in the hospital. That was a funny scene with Hobbs' daughter, to take down Shaw. So then Shaw and Dom fight each other in the streets of LA with cars and stuff, and then Kurt Russell, as the character of Mr. Nobody, comes as another high officer within the government to explain. Dom goes to Tokyo to talk with Sean about Han. So before they actually fight, I'm getting ahead of myself. I think I should stick to my notes. Dom goes to Tokyo, talks to Sean, which we know is the ending of Tokyo Drift. Sean gives him a picture of Giselle and the cross. Sean goes back to his Tokyo family. Dom takes the cross back to LA. Mr. Nobody explains to Dom the war of ghosts and versus shadows that he and his team are now a part of, because they inadvertently became involved with trying to rescue Letty from Owen Shaw, and Owen Shaw and his brother were in a part of a Ghosts vs. Shadows war that Mr. Nobody and company were trying to fight. Okay, end of page 1. Team has to save hacker Ramsey from Shaw after she made God's Eye. So God's Eye is this program. It's like a Big Brother program, so it can tap into anything with a camera or a microphone and track via facial recognition this person, and you can do it quick and your manhunt's over. All right. So they have to save her off of a convoy truck, which is pretty entertaining. Brian almost gets flung off a cliff, but then Letty saves him. That was a really cool stunt scene. And James Wan did a great job with that ominous music. He's great with ominous music. Ramsey sent God's Eye to a friend in Abu Dhabi to keep on a little drive. The drive is in this Hyper Beast $3.5 million vehicle, which is in a billionaire's penthouse all the way on the top of whatever the name of the towers are. There's 3 towers. Deckard fights the team for God's Eye and sells it to an African warlord, Jakandi. And we know the actor who plays Jakandi because he is in Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel. I forget his character's name, but he plays a pretty cool badass. I got to give him that credit. Dom's team plays hot potato with Ramsey in Los Angeles to take back God's Eye because they know that Jakandi is trying to track Dom down to get rid of Dom. And Dom is now in Los Angeles. So if they play hot potato with Ramsey, as in throw her from car to car as she's trying to hack back into God's Eye, because Chikandi now has God's Eye in a helicopter, then she can hack back. She can take back God's Eye while Dom and Shaw have their fight outs and stuff. Okay, Shaw and Dom fight on parking structure when Chikandi blows it up. That was a pretty neat scene. And then it's presumed that Dom is dead. And then Letty's saying that she remembers everything. It came back as a flood, and she remembers that they got married in the Dominican Republic, and the wedding ring was the necklace that he had given her this whole time. Hobbs puts Shaw in a max bunker 35 feet down below. All this concrete, he's saying, start digging. And then if you get to the top, you're gonna meet my fist in a body bag, something like that. It was a funny scene. Two of them together are perfect. That's why it's funny that they got their own spin-off, Hobbs and Shaw, which was a good movie as well. Team says goodbye to Brian, Mia, and Jack in Dominican Republic. Okay, so once everything is settled, once Deck is in the max security prison, the team goes to the Dominican Republic, Monte Cristo and Dominican Republic, to have Brian, say hello and I survived back to Mia and Jack. But then the team is all watching Brian, Jack, and Mia play on the beach and interact, and they're all like, he's home. Like he has to. We can't put him through this anymore. Like this is where he belongs. And it was a goodbye moment. It was a see you later moment. It was a goodbye for us to the character of Brian. They didn't kill Brian off. They just retired Brian's character. And they referenced in Fast 8, which we did talk about, that the Fate of the Furious, that Brian and Mia are doing their own thing. They're not involved with this, espionage, action, fun-filled agent stuff anymore. And then Dom and Brian, have their final race. And Dom goes one way, Brian goes the other way. Getting choked up again. So Cody's brothers had to step in. I'm sorry. Paul's brothers, primarily Cody, had to step in to do a lot of the body doubling for Paul's character throughout the movie. They then CGI Brian's face on Cody and stuff like that, and they had his brothers phonetically say things because they all kind of speak the same. So for instance, a lot of people say my brother and I speak alike, or Dylan and Zac Efron sound exactly the same, and it's terrifying because if you're just closing your eyes and you're just listening, you have no idea who the hell the other person is. Two distinctly different individuals, but Zachary and Dylan Efron sound exactly the same. So Paul and his brothers sound the same. I mean, it happens. You're all raised in the same household. You all talk the same. So they all stepped in, did their own stuff. I know one scene, Brian and Mia are talking in a garage or something like that. That was actually a deleted scene from Fast 5 when they were in Rio, but they used it for this movie, pretending it was the Dominican Republic. So palm trees behind a window or palm trees behind a window. It works in both tropical settings. So once Brian and Dom go the separate ways of driving and they say their goodbyes, there's a montage of Paul's, scenes and going home and, almost had you and all that stuff. And it's crazy to think that in 2017, Furious 7 came out, and that was 17 years since the first film, The Fast and the Furious. And then here we are in 2021, we're going to have Fast 9, which is really the 10th film in the saga, if you're including The Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, which you should. But it was just so weird to see clips from 17 years ago in a film in 2017, and the way that technology was, and in 2000 it was actual film, it wasn't digital, so you could tell the grainy stuff. It was so weird. I saw this with a friend at the time in New York City. There was a pre-screening in New York City of the film, and the whole crowd was a mess, and all these guys were crying. It was something I will never forget because it was so hard to watch, especially at a fan event, it was so rough. And I hate watching this movie because it hurts so much. But as we just learned from our beloved Paul Bettany, who plays our beloved Vision on WandaVision, he says to Wanda, "What is grief if not love persevering?" It's true. You feel these emotions because you're dealing with grief or a grief in any form that you want. You're allowed to feel grief in any form that you want. There's no right or wrong way to feel grief. What is grief without love persevering? Love is persevering to continue. Love is striving to continue through the memories that you have of this individual. So I think that's a perfect way to sum up Furious 7. What is love with, what is grief without love persevering? So, I already reviewed The Fate of the Furious a while ago. I already reviewed Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw a while ago. So I'm not going to do a double review. But I am going to watch the other two films. But in this sense, this thus concludes our Fast and Furious film saga reviews. Now I have to watch 3 seasons of Fast and Furious Spy Racers. Is that the name of it? It's on Netflix. My boy Tyler Posey plays Tony Toretto. And I gotta watch it because Tyler plays Tony Toretto. But also it's a Fast and Furious thing. And it's in the same universe. And Vin Diesel comes back as Dom in like 2 episodes as a CGI character. I'm very excited. Should be interesting. I think it's like 8 episodes a season. But, yeah, so my face is dry now. What a whirlwind of emotions. It feels like I was riding the whirlwind of emotions at Disney's California Adventure Park. Inside Out's on Pixar Pier, whirlwind of emotions. Whew. All right. Are we good? We good? We have my beautiful notes that I wrote super tiny in pencil. This was rough. This was probably the hardest one to do, to be completely honest. I'm just going to announce it. This was the hardest review I've ever had to do. Yeah. What is grief without love persevering? Mucho mahalo.